What if everything you think you know about Trump is based on how it was framed, not what was actually said?
Most people think they understand Donald Trump, but what if the real problem isn't what he says? It's how people hear him. See, Trump doesn't speak like a polished politician. He speaks like a New Yorker. Fast, direct, emotional, sometimes blunt enough to make you wince. And in New York, that's not unusual. People say things like, "This traffic is killing me," or "That guy is a disaster," and nobody stops to fact check it. It's not literal. It's expression. It's emphasis. It's a way of saying, "This matters." Now, here's where things start to break down. Because when that same style enters national politics, it gets treated like a legal document. Every word dissected, every phrase analyzed, every exaggeration labeled as fact. And that creates a massive communication gap. Let's walk through a few moments where that gap becomes impossible to ignore. Take January 6th. Trump told the crowd to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. That's not debated. It's on video. It's in the transcript. But that line didn't dominate the headlines. Instead, the focus locked on to "fight like hell." Now pause for a second. In everyday language, especially in places like New York, fight doesn't always mean physical violence. It often means push hard, stand firm, don't give up. But when you isolate that phrase and ignore the word peacefully, the meaning shifts completely. And suddenly, the story being told isn't the same as the words that were actually spoken. Now let's move to Charlottesville. You've probably heard the phrase, "very fine people on both sides." That line has been repeated over and over again. But what often gets left out is what came right after. I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and white nationalists because they should be condemned totally. That part rarely makes the headline. So what happens? A partial quote becomes a full narrative. And once that narrative sticks, it's hard to undo. Now here's another moment that raised eyebrows. The COVID briefing. Trump asked if disinfectants or light could be used inside the body in some way. Was it awkward? Yes. Was it clumsy? Absolutely. But did he tell people to inject bleach? No. He asked a question, yet the headline that spread across the country was far more dramatic. And once again, a moment of imprecision turned into something much bigger than it actually was. From here, the pattern becomes clearer. Another example, when Trump told certain members of Congress to go back and help fix the places they came from. Critics heard something racial, supporters heard something political, two completely different interpretations from the exact same sentence. And then there's the line, "I alone can fix it." Critics saw arrogance, supporters saw urgency. An outsider saying the system is broken and someone needs to actually do something about it. Same words, different ears, different conclusions. Now step back for a moment, because when you look at all these examples together, a pattern starts to emerge. It's not just about what was said, it's about what was heard, and maybe more importantly, what people were already prepared to believe. Because if you already distrust someone, you're more likely to hear their words in the harshest possible way. And if you already support them, you're more likely to interpret those same words with grace. That's human nature. But here's where it gets complicated. The media sits right in the middle of that gap. And the way a moment is framed can push millions of people toward one interpretation or the other. A sentence gets shortened, a quote gets clipped, a tone gets assumed, and before long, the version of the story people believe isn't the full version. It's the edited one. Now, some people call the reaction to Trump derangement syndrome. Not as a medical condition, but as a way to describe how quickly emotions can escalate when his words are taken at their worst possible meaning. And when that emotional reaction meets a fast-moving media cycle, things can spiral quickly. But here's the deeper question. What if part of the issue isn't just Trump? What if it's the collision between two different ways of communicating? One that's fast, expressive, and metaphor-driven, and another that demands precision, caution, and careful wording. When those two worlds collide, misunderstanding isn't just possible, it's inevitable. And when misunderstanding becomes the norm, it can be used, amplified, repeated, until it forms a narrative that feels bigger than any single moment. Now you may agree with Trump, you may disagree with him. That's not the point here. The real issue is this. Are we hearing the full message or just the version that's been filtered for us? Because when you judge a New Yorker by Washington standards, you're going to miss something. Every single time. And maybe that gap in understanding has shaped more of the national conversation than we realize. So the next time you hear a headline or a quote that sounds shocking, pause. Take a second look. Ask yourself what was said and what might have been left out. Because sometimes the story isn't just in the words. It's in how those words are heard.
Think you've been hearing the full story? Or just the edited version? Drop your take in the comments. I want to hear how you see it.
Please support the channel by clicking the logo on the left to go to our channel to subscribe, or the screen on the right for your next video. Thanks again.
Your next video is now ready.